All right, so welcome back. This is week 3. And from this week on, we are going to study a little bit human anatomy. This week, next week, and maybe the week after. And so we, as an animator, as artists, should have a strong knowledge of human anatomy in order to make your character more appealing and convincing. Human anatomy means the level we want to study is the main to us is the underlying skeleton, major muscle group, proportion, and more importantly, maybe its direction, the movement direction, or etc. By now, you should have a pretty clear idea about what kind of character you are going to design. But how do you make it believable? One of the major strategy is try to bring in more humanity into your character. Then you have to study human anatomy. I came from a fine art background, so we used to, before we actually create our own paintings or drawings, we have to study a lot about human form and what's underneath the skin. We need to delve a little bit deeper. So what's underneath the skin, underneath the appearance of a human form. That's the thing we're going to create, kind of bring out a little bit more human quality of that. And of course, proportion, we mentioned that in last week's lecture as well, starting with good overall proportion. And the ideal proportion human form is 3.5 or 7.5 or 7 heads in terms of heads measurement, three heads wide. And that's the average man or woman's proportion. The average shoulder is 3 heads, average torso 4 heads, and the average height for torso 4 heads, not only from top to the waist, but also to the belly button or to the heel. All right. So, but go into deeper, and you have to also know quite a bit more about the human skeleton, because that's the scaffold of human form, and it's actually underpins and then in the core. So the body takes its form by the skeleton, and the skeleton affects the outer contours of the figure as a frame or foundation for the muscle, tendons, fat, and skin. And it is important to recognize this underlying structure when modeling. You need to know it inside out and have it in your mind all the time, at the back of your mind when you sculpted its outer skins. And all movements originate from the skeleton, which support and propel the muscle. I remember when we studied art history, Michelangelo in the Renaissance masters always mocking on his contemporary artists, saying that they don't know anything about human anatomy, what's underneath the skin. What they draw, the human form, is just a bag of potatoes. They don't know what's the meaning of those bulginess or those contours or that. So he himself very studied thoroughly, and that's why his sculpture can be seen quite realistic, even it's made of cold stone. So this is the level of knowledge we should know, but you should bear in mind you are not a medical student who is not studying medicine, but you need to know what's the major skeleton bones, and what are they, what's the function of them, what's the shape and form, nuances, traits of them, and also all the major muscle group as well. So that's the upper body. As you can see, these are the list of the major bone structure and features you need to aware of, you need to recognize, and a lot of them are quite visible from outside, even though it's wrapped by muscle, skins, or tissues. You can still recognize, it pinpoints those the human surface features, right? So like a cranium, zygomatic arc, which is the sometimes called cheekbones, and the jaw, and in the back you have the scapula. That's most flexible bones. It's actually floating at the back of the human body, and a lot of the muscle attached to it. Clavicles, which is a bows-like structures in the at the bottom of the neck, and the rib cage is the obvious features, the major bulk of the human body, and the iliac crest that represents the hip, and pelvic bones that support the whole upper body, and you have some sacrum bones, which would sometimes I call just a tailbone or that. Those are the major bone structure you need to aware of when you construct your human body, human head. Need to visually sort of suggest those underneath structure underpins the human bone. All right, and so that's what I mean. Those bones we mentioned in the previous slides, sometimes it's quite visible and from out, as you can see in these diagrams. And we used to, when we draw human figure and paint human figure, we need to identify those parts and the relationship between them. What's the proportion? What's the positional distance, or that, so that that brings a lot of realism to whatever you are drawing, a human figure. And in your case, whatever you are building, you are sculpting in digital world. And so be aware of this, those structures. The rhetic arc, you sometimes when it's stretched, it's quite obvious, very visible. And those little bones protruding, that pinpoint those turning points of a human contour and a human figure. All right, so that's that. That's the upper arm and the forearm, upper arm and hand. Those are the major bone structure underneath. Clavicle that actually sits on the tip of your shoulder, that connects to the scapula and also the humerus bones, which is the upper arm single bone. That humerus bone has a huge structures at the elbow part, which is when it bends, it's visible, quite obviously visible, and it has a specific name for that. I can't even epicondyle. That's the name, but you don't necessarily memorize. I can't memorize all of them, but yeah, you should be visually aware of that part, because that defines the shapes of the arm. And also you got the radius and the ulnar bone, which crisscross when it flip, it crisscross that. When the palm face up, the radius and the ulnar are parallel. When it palm face down, the radius and crisscross over the ulnar. It's a fun fact. If you don't need to twist your arm to actually flip your palm. If you do like what I did here, you do that and do that, and one more time from palm down, do that twice. You actually palm up. This is the intricate design of God, right? You don't really need to twist it. That's a very good flexible. A lot of the gesture came from that, so you need to sculpt that quite well to make it more believable. And so that's the shape of the forearm. If you have a cross section, you will see that how the shape changes. So in the elbow part, it bulges and also squeezed a little bit. So when it twisted, it's actually the contour line actually twisted like that. So you should mentally be aware of those features. You see the ridge of the muscle group changes its shape. So and the crisscross section is different, and that might helps you to sculpt your forearm and the whole arms more vividly, more realistically. Okay, so for the leg part, it's the major bone structure is the name listed here, pelvis. Start with pelvis. You have the great I don't know, trochanter, great trochanter, and the femur, and the patella, which is the knee bone, and the tibia and the fibia. All right, so you might neglect it, but now as a 3D artist, you need to aware of this. A lot of the main feature characterized the human leg. For example, the fibia is slanted this way, inwards. All right, that actually a very distinctive feature. That's differentiate us human erector, because human are erectors. They are bipedal. That's why this sort of structure supports the whole weight and enable human to support the whole weight. And that's the distinctive feature, differentiate from human sapien to the chimpanzee. And that slope alone is a quite distinct feature. And also in your ankle, you have this slump as well. The inner ankle is higher than the outer ankle bone because of the fibia's bone structure. And also you can see a kind of arc both from side view and frontal view of the human feet. All right, so that's the some of the neglectable feature, but now you need to aware of them when you incorporate that in your sculpting. It will brings subconsciously brings some hint of the human quality of that human. And after you studied all the bone structures and bone shapes and forms, you need to familiarize with the muscle group, muscle structures as well. Again, you are not a medical student, so you might not need to memorize all of their special terms, terminologies, but you need to more concerned about its looks and about their looks and shapes. And you need to know the major muscle groups and the major muscles and their groups, and where do they start from and end to, because muscles attached to the bones, so tendons, all that, ligaments, and it's their stretch and the contracts, flexibilities that defines the movement. So as animators, you need to sometimes, so the major parts of the human body, you need to aware of that. Where do they start and when do they end? And how do they attach the wrapped, which bones? What's the distinctive feature, distinctive shape of certain specific muscles? How do they define the outlooks of human contour? So that's the major group of upper body. A lot of them have very, I can't memorize all of their names, but you need to aware, more concern is their shapes and forms. So for like the sternomastoid, that muscle actually starting from the back of the ear and all the way wrap around the neck, attached to the tips of the clavicle bone, that forms sort of S shape around the side of the neck that defines the whole shape of the neck. And the trapezius muscle major group is triangle. From the back, you will see more. That defines the shoulder, defines its shape. And you have deltoids, sort of upside down teardrop shape, and some of the muscle groups can be visible when the human body is stretched, and underneath the arm, a six pack in the front, and some of the major muscle group, large muscle groups such as gluteus maximus and bulged form the buttock, form the fannies, and these are the major group, and also what's the direction of their muscle groups, and so that defines the overall shape. So you need to use that as reference when you construct, even when you organize the topology, the lines, the edges of the polygons. You need to, when you arrange them, you need to bear those structures in mind. How do you arrange those lines to reflect this sort of underneath structures of muscle group? And that's the upper arm muscle group as well. Deltoid, it's an upside down teardrop shape, and triceps and biceps, that's on the side of the arm, and also the radialis, flexor radialis, those shapes. That's the major muscle group in the forearm, and the bulkiness, where the bulkiness came from. So when you construct the arms, have those major muscle groups in the mind. And so one way of simplified the bulkiness of the forearm, the upper arm and forearm, you can see it as just like a chain, and their shape changes. It's like somewhat like this. Thickness changes somewhat like this, like an interlocked chain. You might want to reflect that sort of feature when you're sculpting your character's arm. And by the way, this website is quite useful. It has lots of, so I introduced that. It has lots of pictures that you can use to help you to understand more. And the good thing about that, it has even already has a lot of three-dimensional models for you to understand the features of human form. It's a good site for studying human anatomy. And this is also from them. You can see when it can't get into much details about sculpting the muscle group. Although I don't think you need to necessarily go into that deep, but at least this way, this sort of diagram will help you to understand how do you organize the topology. So you see the crisscross of the polygons. It might help you to organize a little bit more and understand the bulkiness of the muscle group when you construct your models, that part of your model. And that's the leg, and the muscle groups for the leg part. So that's the major muscle groups at the bottom, and those are the major muscle group forms sort of bulginess of the leg, and some of the visible, like the femur, is visible at the front here, and this is the shape of that. But you can see that it has, because of the muscle and the slant of the bone and the muscle group, it forms sort of B shape at the contour. See the B shape at the contour from outside. All right, the inner side is pretty much straight. That's it's relatively straight. So that's a major trait of human leg. You might want to incorporate that into your design. One of the book I suggest to acquire maybe is this book. When I was a fine art student, I used that quite a lot as a reference, because that one it summarized the how do you observe, how do you summarize the human form into simpler, understandable shape and forms, as you can see in this diagram, and that gives you a lot of tips, lots of the simplifying of human forms for you, which I think is quite useful, especially for you, because you're probably going to start with a primitive box, something like that, and you want to start to flesh out every subtle details, more substructures, and try to connect the major group, major part of that at certain points and at certain connections. This might help you to do that. That's why I suggest you a bit of a look, or if you can have a book to at hand to help you. As you can see in the diagram, it tried to simplify the human complex organic human form into more understandable shapes and forms already summarized for you, and also gives you a lot of the summarized tips, some major muscle group features about the torso, arm, and leg. I have listed here quite a bit of them. So like major shape of the deltoid could be seen as teardrop upside down, and the supinator starts from the upper arm, twisted around towards the wrist. So that forms some kind of S shape of the forearm, and the rib cage sometimes quite visible here. And you have the S-shaped clavicle like a crossbow here, with the tips attached to these stereomastoid and at the tip, right? Defines the shape and the major bulginess of the neck, and the angle from the tips of the clavicle to the nipples form kind of 45-degree. Thoracic arc is sometimes quite visible from front, especially when human body stretches, and the elongated rectus abdominis, which is the six-pack in the front, and the major muscle group that attach to the pivot, pelvic, the side. So these are some of the features I learned a lot from the book, and the good thing is the author Hogarth summarized for you already, so that you can directly using his insight to help you to understand the shape and construct the shape more vividly. All right, and that's the back of the human body with the four major group forms, sort of butterfly shape with the dimples of thigh, and so that's another feature of human form. And that's the forearm and upper arm and forearm. One of the traits is summarized that you can always see a slight outward bending of the curve of both upper arm and forearm in various angles because of the shape of the muscle group. So you can see that whenever it's bent or stretched, you always see this sort of features on the human form that suggests it's a human form. And for legs as well, because the muscle group, you always see some kind of S shape in the line, in the contour. When it's bent or sit or bend, you always see this sort of features, and that might be some traits you want to incorporate as well. All right. So for the leg, it always forms some sort of B shape at the outer contour, or relatively straight in the inner contour. Right? See that? So this, now you understand when you design a character, you want to use this kind of knowledge to bringing into your design, to suggest the forms, suggest your character. For example, in this one, you can see, although it's almost like a skeletal character, robot slash skeletal character, you can see why some of the parts took its shape. Like in this one, even the lines here, why? Because it's just trying to suggest that it's a human form, right? You have the B shape here and the straight line, right? And the rib cage and major jaw bone, although it's a skeletal, some sort of not so much flexible in terms of contours and shape, designers still want to somewhat incorporate some human features in the design, so that they suggest it's a human quality of that character. And you can see that's another design plan and design concept art I can find online. That's for a short 3D animation called Adam. I'm not so sure whether you have seen it or not. It is a robot leg or arm, but as you can see, it incorporate that features when I'm talking about the slight slant of that angle, that leg suggests it's a human form. And also the shapes, you can see a little bit bending, always a little bit bending on the outside. And you can see clearly it follows those human anatomy features, right, in their design. Even though if you think realistically, if you design a robot, it's not necessary to have those features, but it's for animation. You want that appealness to human eyes, right? So, and there's another of that. It's more fleshed out design, as you can see from front, side, and back. And you can see the cheekbones very obviously there. You can see the clavicle structures of the robot and the shape. It's always trying to bring out a little bit more about the underneath human anatomy, suggests that it's a humanoid characters, like a rib cage like that, and the S shape of the leg, and you can clearly see that. And even if you push it to extreme, like if you want to design a caricature, characterized your design like this sort of toy sort of character, you can still see that it incorporates those features like the outer leg band, like B-shaped band, and relatively straight inside, rib cage, thoracic arc, and bending of human arms, forearms, even though the hand is integrated into the arm, but those features still suggest it's kind of humanoid feature. So let's give you some example. And so you want to dig a little bit deeper. I think the scapular bone is quite intricate one to incorporate in the back of the human form. It has that's the most complicated feature, bone shape. That's lots of muscle group, several muscle group attached to that, and enable it to floating around the back. So it's sometimes it can be very difficult to construct. And this video I'm not going to play here, but just for your information, you might want to delve into this digital artist who also a modeler and sculpt very realistic models. He's talking about how his approach to tackle a complex shape and forms of that part as well. If you want to delve a little bit deeper, see how the professional digital sculptors talking about the realism, the level of realism of constructing this sort of anatomic feature. All right, so as you can see, with all the discussion so far, we learned, we now can appreciate how the professionals doing their artworks, such as those things. Now you can understand why they draw or paint their features, their characters in such way, and which line is overlapping or on top of which line, all suggest the underlying features, underlying structures, anatomic structures of a human form. And those lines are not arbitrary rendering. They show their deep understanding of those anatomic features, structures. So like the rib cage and thoracic arc, what's the major muscle group, which one is on top of which, wrap around which one. So those lines represent those underneath underlying structures. And without those lines, suggest the whole overall shape could be very flat and totally could be much less convincing and believable. And you need to know that once you know the skeletal structure, different types of body shape is just on top of that. The skeletal structure could be identical, could be same. The overall the different body type is just on top of that. A stack of lots more additional tissues and muscles, and that defines its contours. So but the underneath skeletal support is pretty much the same. So some other tips, like if you construct a different age group, take up different proportions. One example, for example, if you want to have a baby type sort of character, usually the younger, the more roundness of the shape. As age grows, the shape elongated a little bit more. But for a toddler, some of the features, such as this sort of tapering, not parallel, an adult shape, facial feature doesn't have that, but a toddler will have that sort of from the nose tip to the chin, kind of form kind of this slant angle of that. And the baby's arms and feet are more puffy and less bony. So kind of bubble-like sort of features. It depends on the characters you are designing, you are constructing. So it should differentiate from different age, different agenda, and a different body type to try to exaggerate that. But also within the anatomic features, within the anatomic contrast among them, right? And if go further, if we are designing a character, half animal and half human, it will get even more complicated and even more challenging. And I remember once I was in animation festival and conference, one of the designer from a major studio came and have a talk. At the time, they were designing a character of a ninja cat. So they have to animate a cat that was a ninja move, all that. So how do you take that challenging task? He was talking about, they came up with some kind of blending between a cat skeletal, cat sort of anatomic structure, and blending a cat with human, so that they can have both. So it could be getting more challenging like that. So you are designing character, but has to have some sort of a human move and a human structure. So how do you do that? Approach that task, complex task, is quite have to be imaginary, things like that, right? Of course, another push to another end is it totally no no human anatomy. It's if you are constructing some kind of a character of an anthropomorphic sort of feature, doesn't have any of those that. But even though you have to maybe incorporate some features in the skeleton, I mean the rigging part. When you rig your character like that, at least you will add some limbs and legs or arms to it, and by that time you still need to incorporate some sort of an anatomic understanding of that, at least to design the rigs for those for the riggers, the rig designers. They still need this sort of concerns and this sort of understanding of that, and to incorporate into the design. All right, that's pretty much I want to talk about theoretically for this week. Any questions? No. I see it's been quiet in your so this week's tutorial. I want you to do. I want you to warm up, kind of warm up you a little bit by giving creating this simple task for a sort of toddler sort of full body modeling. So in this one, you can see that it's starting with very simple box. And I think this tutorial is a quite good one because it's starting with a very simple shape forms and the basic shape forms, starting with some sort of box and extruding mainly to its full extent. And I think this will warm you up a little bit more before you delve into your own character construction. So it will gradually build up your skills about polygon sculpting, and for such a simple design, simple shapes and forms. And it also has how to split the UV map, although the first assignment of this one doesn't necessarily need to do the UV map, but with a simple shape form like that, and with a low level, that this one is a low level topology, so it's a very very coarse sort of polygonal shape in terms of polygon face count. So keep that simple, but still you need to try to incorporate your understanding of human form, human anatomic underneath structures. Try to see how much you can do with this simple task. All right, and I can see that in the course forum, not so many posts. I only have one or two. It's a bit. I think this cohort is a bit shy, and by now you should have a fixated idea of what you want to create. It's better to show your result so that I can give you more. We have more foundational ground to discuss about your design to further improve that. In the previous runs, I have so many students uploading their designs. So that's a couple of years ago. And they even have more designs in the 2021 one. as you can see, they at the time, the students there, that time, it wasn't so shy. They always post the more reiteration of your design, back and forth of discussion of design, the better the result. You probably see from the show reels in the course for Moodle side about, so you can see their original design, where they came from. All right, so a lot of them have a fairly good in-depth design already before you commit to the construction. All right, so I would like to see more of your sketches. Don't be shy. Don't be more courageous, and to show off your progress, and to fostering a good group dynamic among you, so that you can have a better design, better shape and forms for your final outcome, right? So that's the previous year's students' design. You can see a lot of good design, although not necessarily carry out to the end, but it's a interesting process. It's an artistic process. Okay, great, Hannah. Do that, and if you like, you can also share here if you like. No pressure. It just
like right now, or like
yeah,
right?
if you like,
Oh,
yeah. I'm
I
gonna
I could yeah, I just I did want to ask with the posting for now, art is just line art okay? Like
yeah,
I don't have
okay. Anything
okay.
is okay. Anything is okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can share mine. Let me share screen. I think it's sharing.
Oh, all right,
Um,
good.
so I haven't like done a lot of the clothing styling
Yeah,
yet,
yeah,
and one of these I've just duplicated because it's going to be the back pose. So I'm gonna
yeah.
go through and like, make it look like it's from the back, but basically like it's gonna be the front and back, and yeah, and then this is
Good.
the 3/4 like the kind of angled pose.
Yes,
And then I'll have a side view as
yeah.
well. And I'm really bad at feet, so I'm just doing boots, but I was in the process of fixing the boots because even they look weird. I don't know.
No, they're looking
Uh,
good. They're looking all right.
um,
Looking all right to me. Yeah,
yeah, so
that's good.
um,
Very good.
yeah,
That's totally usable for reference for you to import into Maya to as reference to starting the sculpting. Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It just
cool.
what's missing is a side view. Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta do the side view and fix up
yeah.
one of the back views, and then I was just gonna try to figure out some like some clothing. Like I'm still kind of trying to
Uh,
sort that out, but
that's great.
um and
That's
from
great.
the back view you'll be able to see she has a little bit more hair design,
Yeah,
um, which is gonna be like just in a long braid, like a
yeah.
thick long braid. So
That's
yeah.
great. You can draw. I can see. You can draw
I
quite well.
Uh, I, 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 I don't know. I have trouble with fists and like, and yeah, so those are probably going to be really rough. But the hand was like I got one hand done and then I just copied it and
All right.
I did the what is it the transform
Uh,
tool.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'll just like
Yeah.
use the transform to flip it because hands I also struggle with. Hands and feet are like, yeesh. Yeah. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah. So
Good.
that's my
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you. I'll stop it or stop share. Here we go. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Drawing hands and feet suck.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Uh, I think next week or the week after, I'm going to talking about the hand structure a little bit more, about the details. But it's not necessarily, don't be intimidated, don't be daunted by that. It's pretty, once you get the heck of a hand of how do you see the complex form. Yeah, hand part is always the difficult part, even more difficult than uh, a head, a facial feature. Yeah, a lot of the artists found that. But it's quite common. It's quite usual. But once you learn how to observe or to understand the subtle structures and features of human hand, it will get easier. Later on, if you construct learn week 4 or something, there's a tutorial about how do you construct the hand. It's pretty standard. It's actually the methodology of constructing a 3D hand is not that difficult at all. But how do you pull and pushing the contours and those lines to form a little more appealing, believable hand is needs a lot of anatomic understanding of that. Right.
I've gotten I feel like with hands and feet, like I'll have moments where it's like I just get lucky and I'm like, oh, it works, it's great. And then I go to try to draw the second one and it's like I have forgotten everything I've learned. Like
No. So that's why you need to reference, like in this week's slides I told you, like the feet, you have some major features like the slant of the ankles and the arcs from side view and front view. Once you have those features, it's naturally becomes more believable. So incorporate those features is quite important. Yeah.
thank you. Sounds good.
Anyone else want to share theirs?
I've got something else I could share.
Yeah, great.
So I've been trying to do a side and back view of the skeleton.
Yeah,
It's coming along steadily.
yeah, good, good. So like I said in the slide, you see the leg is kind of human leg should have forms this sort of slant angle, right? So at the moment, your front and back view uh, still not having that yet. Okay, and I think you might want to incorporate that a little bit more. And also in terms of the proportion, as I said, usually from the hip to the toe is forehead. Obviously, your head measurement is around 7, so it's ideal sort of a hero sort of proportion. And so you might want to raise your hip a little bit higher. You see, and this is currently it's only 3 heads. You can have a little bit higher hips. I think the front view is more. The front view on the left is the height is all right. The height
Yep.
is yeah, and
Okay.
also incorporate that the femur, the leg, the upper leg bone, the major bone should have some kind of slant inwards. So have that feature. So that will brings a little more believability of this skeletal character. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, take a picture of your by your phone, mobile phone, maybe, and yeah, and then share with us, or just share on the Moodle. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Once you got a satisfying design and result, and you yeah put it on Moodle. Yeah, put it on Moodle discussion, general discussion forum. Okay, so you just delve into that prescribed tutorial I introduced in the course forum to do that toddlers of character. All right. Any questions, any issues, just give me a yell.
Sounds good.
Book, if I can show you.
Okay, yeah, show me.
2 seconds. Sure. So yeah, this is kind of what I have right now.
All right, yeah,
Just kind of having it disassembled made it easier.
yeah.
Because my idea is like doing a doll kind
Okay,
of character. So just
yeah,
having like one movable joint per
okay,
limb kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
So I've got the front, the back, and the side of the leg, and then
Okay, good, very good.
yeah,
So you can see, we're talking about for the leg, the outer contour is it kind of B shape, right? The
yeah,
inner contour is relatively straight. You can crop
yeah,
that feature into your leg. So at the moment, you can use both leg. It's good to already have some good shape, round kind of shape, but the
Mhm.
inner contour could be a little bit more straight from top to
yeah,
bottom.
in here.
Yeah, in here. Yes,
Mhm.
a little bit. And also, yeah, I can see you. It's a good drawing. The upper arm, the overall shape, but on the arm, it also have a little bit bend. We're talking about outer contour a little bit bend, it curve. So
Yeah.
have that a little bit. Strength emphasis on that a little bit more is also good. And the
Mhm.
side. And the third leg on the right is that the side view?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the side view. I think the side view, the upper bit, that banded curve is too much, a little bit too much. It's
Yeah.
confused. It's confusing with the side. On the side, that curve is all right. But if it's the front one, it's more straight. It's kind of straight.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
from side view, the overall is you have this S shape. Remember in the slides, you can go back to the slides,
Yeah.
help you to understand to have a bit more feature of that S shape of the whole leg. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I've just been doing these while I was over at the uni and class. So
Yeah. Good. But more importantly, the overall shape of the full body. Those are
yeah.
details. But the full
Yeah.
body, I would want to see more of those full body
Yeah.
proportion and features. Yeah.
I'm really bad at drawing a
No,
full
not at
body
all.
just
Not at all.
in
I
one
can see the
go.
drawing. I can see the drawing.
Yeah.
The line art. It's good. It's okay. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's
So
good
yeah, I
enough.
thought I'd try drawing all the parts by themselves and then assembling them later in Photoshop.
Okay. All right. You want okay. Whatever the workflow suits you. But yeah, the
Mm,
more importantly, you have the overall design of your character. Let's see more of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Good,
I
good.
figured I'd just show you what I had on paper for now.
Yeah, good.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries.